Yeah, and absolutely. But what specifically happens with investors and the real estate industry, our curiosity is blocked, and we can't do it mainly because we go out there and we try to negotiate to price only. And so I often tell people, if you can actually get to that space where I can tell you that, hey, look, there's going to be a price that you want and makes sense to you, and there's going to be a price that I want to pay and that makes sense to me. So we'll get to that point, but there's a lot of other things that are important to both of us. Let's start going over some of the other value points that in this transaction, timing, it might be certain parts of the property that needs to be redone. It might, go into any other type of value points. So you get their agreement in other areas and become curious.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I am your host, Quentin Edmonds. Y'all see the big smile on my face because y'all know what I'm about to say. I'm excited, but I'm going to double down on this. I am super excited. Like, we have somebody on this platform today who is an expert in negotiations. And I don't know why that gets me so excited, but I'm just a nerd. I'm a nerd and wanting to learn different avenues and aspects of real estate, but also about communication. I try to pride myself on being a good communicator, and I want to learn every day. And I just feel like the nuggets that we're about to get today is going to help us communicate and also communicate in real estate when it comes to deals. And so I'm just super excited about my guest. She just dropped on me that she played basketball in college, so I'm excited about that too. But listen. Let me just stop talking and introduce you guys to Miss Amy Gardiner. Miss Amy, how are you doing today now?
Well, you're making me really excited, so I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. I'm glad. I listen. I'm excited to have you on. I love unique lenses and perspectives, and I have never had a negotiation expert on the podcast before. So I want to know what that all is. Maybe you can tell our audience what it is. So let's start here. I just want you to take us into your world. I want to see things through your lens, through your perspective. And so, of course, tell us maybe where you got started, what your main focus is these days. I'm not sure what market you operate in, if that fits, but because I know you all around the world. And so what I want to do is just turn the floor over to you. Please just take us into your world, Miss Amy.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Well, thank you so much. It is a real pleasure and an opportunity to share because, like you said, isn't it sad that we work in the real estate world, yet there are very few people that actually specialize in negotiation. So, a little bit about my background is that I started in real estate about 23, 24 years ago, and I actually started overseas. So I lived in New Zealand for 22 years, and so I did various roles. I was a top agent for quite a while. I owned a couple of brokerages. I did a lot of coaching, and then when we moved back to the States. I'm American. My husband's a New Zealander. And when we moved back to the States, mainly just to give our kids a little bit of American, I knew that I was going to be entering into the real estate field as well. So now I live in Orange County. So I primarily work in the California and the New Zealand markets, but I have worked in Australia and I have worked in Texas and Arizona, Utah, Idaho, a few other deals. So in terms of what I do now, for a long time, I specialized in auction and auction negotiation. And I was an auction director for a franchise group here in Southern California for about 3 years. Did a lot of deals through Southern California with that auction group. So primarily my role was negotiating deals. And then I went back into doing some real estate and coaching and whatnot. But every deal that I was tending to take on were the tougher deals, properties that had been on for a long time. And when I say long time, some people might say 6 or 9 months, but I'm talking about properties that have been on for 4 years, 10 years, 8 years, properties that just could not get across the line. So I started to be taken into these deals because nobody else could get them across the line, and I could through some of my strategies. So how this kind of came about was I went into being primarily a negotiation specialist, which was helping other agents get their deals across the line, and also running some deadlines and some auctions and whatnot with them. And then many people were asking me to coach and potentially speak and do some workshops. And so then I had to take some time to reverse engineer why it is what I'm good at and why it is that I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
And so that took some time. It's kind of like asking Michael Jordan, why are you so good? Not that I'm comparing myself to Michael Jordan, but I'm just
Well, no,
wanting to
I
do
heard
the
it.
basketball.
That's the sound bite. Editors, we're
Yeah.
clipping that right there. This is the Michael Jordan of negotiators. No, I'm just joking. Please stop. I'm sorry. Continue.
I should actually say I'm more the maybe Caitlin Clark
Okay.
of
We
negotiation.
take it.
So
Absolutely. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
and so just trying to reverse engineer, but like athletes, it's because I really worked at what I did. I mean, that made me really good. I really analyzed why people were getting stopped, and why I kept them moving, or how I kept them moving. And so again, and then I did a lot of study. So I've studied through books and through whatever courses I could get my hands on. Just and it was interesting. It was almost like I didn't really learn anything new as such. It was more validating everything that I was already doing. But now I actually had to apply it to real estate because that's where we get let down, because there's a lot of negotiation, maybe courses out there for business, but very, very, very few for real estate. And people that are active in real estate. So um, I coach, I speak, I have some courses as well, and I started a certification as well. So that's kind of the umbrella of what I do and where I come from.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
I love it. Absolutely. And you correct me if I'm wrong because you're the expert here. But I think one of the things about negotiation is not for it to be manipulative in a bad way, in a bad connotation. It's really just to help people kind of get out their own way, right? Because there are so many hangups that people are on, and I would imagine that it's really helping people kind of get over themselves. Is that a good way to frame it? And is that a way to say it?
It is it's a good way to frame it, but I would probably even go down further down the track of getting in there. You can frame it as getting in your own way, which is a common way to frame it. But I think the way that I frame it is that we insert ourselves in situations where we shouldn't. And
Mm,
quite often, I use the analogy as being a firewall. Like agents become this firewall of the market, and more often than not, agents or investors or just the people become the firewall of what they're doing because they don't take the time to actually understand why people are the negotiation is not flowing naturally. Or if in investor cases, more often than not, you're trying to get a good deal, you've got to get a really good deal on the front end. And so you have got to get all of the acceptances on all of the other aspects before you actually even start talking numbers. So I think it's a matter of we do get in our own way, but I think it's just because we insert ourselves and our opinions in areas where they don't matter.
got you. Understood. Now, thank you for that. Absolutely. Let me ask you this: what keeps you motivated? Like, what keeps you running smoothly in a sense? That keeps you passionate, keep you coming back to doing what you do.
Yeah, that's a good one because I liken myself to like a health coach or whatever. You can tell people how to eat and the fitness and all the rest of it, but it really is up to them as to how consistent they become. And people just think that, oh, I'm going to read a book and then it's going to change me, and we all know that that's not going to be the case. So I think negotiation is a skill, it's a muscle that just like anything else, you have got to continue to build it if you don't use it. Like many agents in the market, they might, especially some agents in the Southern California market, because you're dealing with much more, expensive properties. Some of these agents are only doing one or two or three deals a year. So if you're only in negotiations one or two or three times, you've got to find some other way of building your muscle and having those conversations and being in the room and being at the table. And so and this, it's the same goes with investors. If you keep just doing the same thing that everybody else is telling you to do, at some point you've got to get off the blocks and just say, hey, look, I've got to do something different. If the diet's not
Absolutely.
working, try something new. So yeah, that's what keeps me going is knowing that it's not just about giving the information once. Um, and also, I actually have a real mission to help uh, investors, real estate industry upskill, because the skill in our industry is just appalling.
Yeah.
It's appalling. And, we have agencies and brokerages and whatnot taking percentages off of professionals and investors and charging people money whilst not actually giving them real sales skills or real negotiation skills.
Well, I understand. I hear you loud and clear, and I love how you brought out. And I think you used the word upskill. Did I hear that
Mhm.
correctly?
Yeah.
Upskill.
Yeah.
I love that because we want this to be, if we can make it more integral, more with integrity, more with decency. I think you're absolutely right because there's so many people that's just nefarious. They just do just about the money and don't care who they crush. And so I love that perspective that you brought out. Now I would imagine, you talk to a lot of agents, you talk to investors. Like normally I would ask an operator, like, what is a moment where it got real for them? Maybe a deal went sideways. But I guess for you, some of the stories that you hear, the way you're coaching people, what are some of the stories that you kind of had to coach them to kind of to success, right? Like maybe, when you had to, I know you come in with a certain type of strategy, but you know what I mean? Just times where maybe you felt the tension, you felt you had to kind of pivot or
Mm.
rethink or re-strategize. Like, I think you understand what I'm putting down. Like, you got any
Yeah.
stories like
Yeah,
that? Yes,
absolutely.
ma'am. Yeah.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah. I mean, I've done thousands of deals, so it's hard to. I mean, there's a few that I can pick out for sure where people just said this is never going to get over the line, and somehow I did it. And I think I often talk about in my training, I talk about different types of resistance. And so people are resistant in negotiation for different reasons. And if you don't identify that, then you're really doing yourself a disservice. And the reason why people don't identify that is because we're all out there looking for the quick commission check or the quick deal. And so if it doesn't come easy and quick, then we're on to the next. And also in areas where we could slow down and take our time, we don't actually have the skill that we need to be able to slow it down. And so I liken it that it's I quite often say the micro moments. If you're not actually paying attention, then you miss those micro moments. So, we talk about in resistance that there's logical resistance, which obviously is, very just people analytical numbers and whatnot. There's simple resistance where people just say like, it doesn't feel right to me. It's not the right time. And they can't really, figure out, what it is that is making them resist the negotiation. But that's probably the easiest resistance to get across because then you can just build trust with them. And half the time it's just with trust. But then there's a competitive resistance. Then it's a matter of like, there's people and we deal with this and, with investors all the time is like, if they don't get it at a certain number or level, or if they don't win the negotiation, it's more about winning than it is about logic and, and really looking at the whole frame. And so that's another one. And then the other one is uninformed. So if you're just uninformed resistance, it's like I don't have enough information to make a decision. And quite often if we're rushing through all of these decisions and these deals really, really quickly, then how are the stakeholders within the deal able to make an informed decision? So um, and most of the time, it is really the fact of we haven't set it up properly, we haven't set the conversation up properly, we haven't approached it properly to begin with, and then we don't actually have the skill in the negotiation to actually be able to deal with, like I said, slowing it down a little bit and making sure that we can get it across the line. I am speaking it's not specific, but in specific to investors, I've dealt with a lot of investors on residential real estate when, I've been either attached to a real estate transaction as a listing agent or as the negotiation specialist. And an investor comes in to make a deal and they don't stay long enough for the deal to get done and or the firewall of the agent just wants to refuse and reject the investor. So the investor doesn't actually have the skill to begin to negotiate for themselves as to why they should actually be in the deal. And the agent doesn't have the skill to actually keep the investor in the deal and make sure that we can get it across the line. And so there's a lot of different deals that I could discuss.
Yeah.
But I've got a lot of investors out of the proverbial SHIT,
Yes, ma'am.
like, just about ready to tip up or about to lose a serious amount of money or whatnot, simply because they've opened up, they put their ego aside, they've listened to me, and now we can actually move forward. So, yeah.
Now, I love this, Miss Amy. Logical, simple, and competitive and uninformed resistance. Was the four, correct?
You're right. Right.
Logical, simple, competitive, and uninformed. I love this type of stuff. I love. I see. I could talk to you for hours, but I know we don't got hours. But I love it. So let me ask you this: what's the next real goal for you? Like, are you? Is there something you're looking to solve? Something you're looking to scale? What's your next real goal?
Well, I have written a book, and I'm going to be launching that soon. I'm hoping in the next 2 months. I get, as anybody that's written a book that means a lot to them, you start to pick it apart. But I just got
Just
back
finish
from a
my
tour.
book, so I'm with you. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Yeah, I just got back from a tour in New Zealand of doing some of the certifications that I wrote, and what I wanted to do was do a few rounds of that, so I could see where people were being hung up, and so it helps me with the order of some of the concepts and strategies and whatnot in the book. So that's been helpful to do that. But in terms of the goal is, I'm really wanting to spread the word about the education that I provide, and that can be done through coming and doing a workshop with an investor group. It can be coming and doing a workshop with a real estate agency. I personally believe that investors, if they have to work with realtors, and they have to work here and there, right? A lot of them don't like it, but once they actually put the house back on the market, a lot of times they do. And so for you to choose a realtor that is not strong in negotiation, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So if I personally had my business reliant on the last dollar, every last penny, I would make sure that the realtor who I chose was trained in negotiation. So I'm trying to kind of get the word out. I know it's going to organically grow over the next year, but between speaking and coaching and the book, those are the next steps for me.
Beautiful. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I just finished my book too. And like you said, is when you've completed that feeling, is something special to you. And you know, you poured your heart and soul into it. So kudos to
Yeah.
you. I can't listen.
W-
I promise you, I will be giving the copy. We're gonna, if you later on, if you want to give the name, I'll set you up for that. But I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to reading it. So, I guess one of the last questions I want to ask you, when it comes to building relationships, because we're not an island, we're not by ourselves. And so I'm wondering, when it comes to building relationships and growing your network, what's made the biggest difference for you?
You know what? That was one of the things that allowed me to make a really strong start into the real estate business, because I actually had a strong network. I had 12 listings in my first month in the business. And it was mainly because I put my ego aside. I wanted to learn from everyone. I still want to learn from everyone. Every single time I do something, whether it be a workshop or a podcast or a phone call or whatever, I'm learning. I'll take notes. I am a bit of a nerd, and I enjoy it. But for a long time, and this is a bit of a side note, really. For a long time, I didn't appreciate how good I was at what I did. I just knew that people were using me a lot, making a lot of money off of me, and kept calling and kept messaging and whatnot, and they still do to this day. I love that, but now I'm getting paid for it, right? But in terms of relationships, I think that one thing that people don't understand, again, it goes back to slowing down. Right now, everything that we do, whether it be through AI or social media, it's all about making things more efficient, more efficient, more efficient, more efficient, quicker, 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 quicker. And so if you are actually the person who slows down, you are going to stand out naturally. And so for me, when I am engaging with people, I have, I'm not trying to um I guess, pat myself on the back, but I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of contacts. I have a lot of, people in the industry that do respect me and what I do, and it's mainly because I have actually slowed down, and I have taken time to engage with people, and then they remember me, right? They don't remember me for the person that didn't pick up the phone, or the person that wasn't bothered to put my offer in because it happened to be $50,000 lower than they wanted to deal with. They remember me because I said, no matter what, we are going to work together and be on the same side of this, and do this negotiation so we can get it together. And a lot of times people just go out there in the world and they're just so combative with everything. So I think that that is the biggest thing, is that network. If you don't slow it down, we're all going to lose our network.
That is such a powerful nugget. My 2024 was my year of actually slowing down. I intentionally slowed myself down. There's a book, Essentialism. Not sure if you know it. Um, but it's
No,
a
but I'm
book.
writing it down.
Yeah, Essentialism. The last name, I'm blanking on the last name, but when you look up Essentialism, it's gonna come up. Like Benone, I think this the last name. I think that's the author's last name.
Hmm.
But pretty much he tells you what to be essential about, and when you're essential, you know exactly what to say hell yes to and exactly what to say hell no to. And my 2024 was slowing down to know exactly what I'm just going to say hell yes to, hell no to. And what it did, it made me evaluate myself, and it made me understand the value that I brought to this world, the value that I brought to whatever space that I was in. And then, like you said, you getting paid for it now. When you know your value, you can put a dollar
Yeah,
amount on your value, and that dollar amount is
absolutely.
your dollar amount, like what
Yeah.
I value myself as. And either you take it or leave it, you know, but I love when you talked about slowing down, knowing your value, building your net, knowing the people that you want with you, and being able to say to people, hey, I appreciate you, but right now, we're not going to be able to collab. It doesn't, you know, and it's saying in a tasteful way, but I absolutely love the messaging that you're giving for sure.
Well,
Absolutely.
and more to your point, because I think it's so important. It's probably exactly what I did, which was I had to find my value in everything, rather than I for many years I just became very resentful because I
Yeah.
felt like I was used.
Yep.
And then I thought, no, I actually have value, and it's because I didn't see my value that I didn't actually stand up for it. Now, if you take that exact thing into negotiations, I will tell you that 9 times out of 10, it is actually not about price. It is actually about the value that you're bringing to the deal. And if you cannot value yourself, if you cannot value the skill that you have in negotiation, then you're very rarely, the deal would have come together without you in it. And so essentially what you're doing is going back to our opening of our conversation, is that you're just inserting yourself with a bunch of your bullshit that doesn't actually matter, a lot of your opinion and a lot of, your pent up stuff. But if you actually have true value, true confidence, then you can actually step back and let the market work, and you can gauge um, where the resistance is. You can start to actually steer people into a direction that they feel comfortable with. And when the stakeholders are comfortable and confident with where they've ended up, the deal will come together.
Absolutely. No, you are absolutely right. Confidence is an amazing thing. Like once you are confident, you actually stop pushing. You stop pushing unnecessarily hard. When you are comfortable, you
Right.
know who you are. So I'll kind of end it here. I have this saying. I've said it on other podcasts, and I picked up, and it really helped me out. When you know who you are, you know what to do. When you know who you are, when you're sure about your value, when you're sure about your confidence, when you're sure about your, where you are, your certainty, you know what to do. You don't have to push hard. You don't have to build that firewall. You know who you are. You can just be comfortable in your own skin and in your own conversation and your own negotiation. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that in and of itself, that is probably one of the most powerful strategies, what you just mentioned, is people think that confidence can be arrogant or whatever. But when you have that quiet confidence, it comes from a space of knowing your value, right? But also then you become a guide, and you can actually say that out loud to people. Hey, look,
Yes.
I'm not here to steer you into a direction that you don't want to go or that you don't need to go. But sometimes me being the guide means that I'm going to open up pathways that you didn't actually even think that you needed to go down. And that's coming from the information that you've given me. But if I'm not getting enough information from you, then I can't be a proper guide for you. So there's a lot of things. Oh my gosh, there's so many layers here.
All right.
This
Yes,
could be a
ma'am.
10 part.
Yeah. I told you. I told you coming in. I knew I could talk to you for hours. I know we don't have hours, but I know we could. So I'm gonna say this last thing, and if you want to say something back to it, because I don't know. I just feel like I want to say it because you mentioned it in a roundabout way. When you're confident, you become curious, and you said like gaining the information. Like don't like when you confident, you become naturally curious because I'm not imposing myself. I'm more trying to
Right.
find out. I'm curious. Why are you doing it that way? Like, I think you become logical, simple, competent, and you can be informed, not
Yeah.
uninformed, but informed when you become curious. So
Yeah.
if you want to say anything to that, I wanted to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely. But what specifically happens with investors and the real estate industry, our curiosity is blocked, and we can't do it mainly because we go out there and we try to negotiate to price, 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 price only. And so I often tell people if you can actually get to that space where I can tell you that, hey, look, there's going to be a price that you want and makes sense to you, and there's going to be a price that I want to pay and that makes sense to me. So we'll get to that point, but there's a lot of other things that are important to both of us. Let's start going over some of the other value points that in this transaction, timing, it might be certain parts of the property that needs to be redone. It might go into any other type of value points so you get their agreement in other areas and become curious through those questioning. Then you can actually understand what type of resistance that you've got. Then you've got, if it's just like, oh, if it's all numbers, then you can come back to that. Okay. So I know that the numbers are really important to you. So I know I need to make sure that I build my case around that. So you still have to, what I mean is slow it down a bit rather than everybody's just going in there and looking for that one thing, the only negotiation training that we are ever given as real estate agents is trying to find their motivations and then just hit on the motivation, hit on the motivation, hit on the motivation. But what they don't actually understand is that those motivations could be skewed by and pressured by other stakeholders that are in that negotiation. When you really peel back the layers, then you realize that it's probably a lot easier to get them to a point of decision than you thought. But you got to slow it down.
Absolutely. Before we wrap, if you want somebody to connect with you, if there's something that you want us to know how we can help you, I want you to speak to our audience and please tell us how to get in contact with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Uh, my company is called Pro Level Negotiation. So prolevelnegotiation.com is the website. It's ever changing. I'm trying to, keep it clean and keep it easy. And you all know that websites, social media, and all that kind of stuff. We get told a million different things, but at least that there is just a way of going in there, and emailing is the easiest way to get in touch. Get in touch with me. My book will be Pro Level Negotiation, that will be coming off the ranks, so it will just be named Pro Level Negotiation, to keeping it real way. And I am still at a level where I can actually tailor my services to all. That's not going to happen forever. I'd say by the end of next year, I will not be able to specifically tailor my services to every single company, but right now I can. I just got done with doing one full company in New Zealand. I've done it a couple of times here in California as well. So I can tailor my services for specific areas and what, or groups, as to what they need, like investor groups, because there's very specific, which I wrote down some nuggets here, some very specific pitfalls to investors and negotiation.
I love it, Ms. Gardner. This has been great. I just want to let you know that I really enjoyed this. I look forward to reading your book. I look forward to being a follower. You just gained a fan, just to be honest with you, I'm being honest. And so just thank you for your time. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your perspective. This has been absolutely great.
Thank you so much. And if I can mention, I do have an Instagram account. Like I don't have massive following
Yeah,
yet, but it is Amy Gardner RE. So at Amy Gardner RE, and that's where I put most of my, when I jump on there. So this is a new area that's growing pretty quickly. I'm trying to keep up with it, and
absolutely.
I sincerely really appreciate the opportunity of coming onto your podcast, and I wish you guys all the very best and being able to help out investors and the real estate industry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate you. Well, listen, y'all heard it. Y'all heard Miss Amy Gardner. I mean, come on, y'all. This was amazing, right? And so y'all know we're gonna continue to bring you just very thoughtful conversations, maybe perspectives that you never imagined. And so I want to make sure that you are tuned in. So just go ahead and press the subscribe button. That way you can make sure that alarm goes off. All you have to do is come on over and know you're going to get some valuable content. So again, Miss Amy, thank you so much. And to everyone else, we will see you on the next time.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.